just around the corner, but here's why. Obsidian says they didn't go open world. Grant Taylor Hill over at Insider Gaming. Avowed will be released worldwide on February 18th, slotting into an already busy month for the RPG genre, without a doubt. For a while now, prospective fans have been eagerly scoping out any tidbits of information about the game, and most recently, this discussion turned to how the game is laid out. In a recent interview with Xbox Wire, Obsidian's developers sat down to talk about the lack of an open world environment in Avowed. It's very much by design, and it was a deliberate, strategic decision to encourage players to have a better experience overall. In a recent interview here, Obsidian's Berto Rieger, Carrie Patel, and Kate Dollarhide walked readers through the nature of the zones in Avowed. The ambitious RPG isn't an open world game, but instead it relies on a series of denser regions locked behind borders that keep the pacing consistent and manageable. During the interview, Dollarhide, who works as a narrative designer, explained, "Pacing is really tough in open world games. You never know where the player is and what they're doing at any given time. So having these zones that happen in sequence means we always know what content you've just come from on the critical path. Maybe not what side quests you've done, but we always know you've just had this core experience." The sentiment was echoed by Rieger, region director at Obsidian. "I think it's a good pacing mechanism. We know roughly what you've done before you've gone to the next thing. It's still a very open structure within those zones where you can do whatever you want for the most part, but it's not one contiguous area where you could be anywhere at any moment. Having smaller, more detailed regions or zones has enabled Obsidian to scope in and focus on delivering a more immersive, choice-driven experience for players. Even if the zones being scaled down from the open world models we might be more used to in the grand RPG titles, we can still expect there to be plenty of meat on Avowed's bones." Michael, dude, I'm pretty pumped. I'm looking forward to getting into this one.
Yeah, I think this game should be a lot of fun. I think, right, the only big concern I have is the February release date, right? There's so many different games going on. I'm hoping it doesn't get swallowed up. It's kind of got a nice little area now that Shadows has moved. So I'm excited for this, and I think the non-open world is a good choice, right? I know open world games are always a ton of fun, but especially in these RPG games, they lead to weird, like, pacing, right? Where we've all seen the memes, right? You run off, you do 40 hours of side quests, you finally go to the big bad boss, and you're level 100, and he's level 40, and you just kind of one-shot him, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe I did a few too many side quests, right? So not being able to let the players do everything kind of keeps you focused in. Hopefully makes that sort of that final quest super epic. It's like, oh, we're the same level. It's going to be a challenge. I haven't just out-leveled it to the extreme. And I mean, then there's some things, right? Indiana Jones did a good job where it's not open world, but it's open world enough, right? Where it's like, hey, I can go over here. I can go over here. I feel like I'm exploring these entire zones, but it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm all the way over here and I got to go back to this level. So I think this will be a good job. I'm excited for this game. I can't wait to see what Xbox has pulled off, because if this game hits, and we just talked about Indiana Jones and it hitting, this could be a huge early start of the year for Xbox.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think we're on to something here. I like the fact that we're not open world. I also like, I can appreciate the fact that we're not from point A to point B as well. I think that's the biggest thing, right? They give us this area, this playground to go into, and then just go and discover, and then have a good time in there. It allows them to make sure, okay, you hit this story beat. Once you wrap that up, you can do this, 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 and this, and this. But we know you're going to hit that one next, because they have a sequence of the story that needs to unfold in a way that I think this is the proper structure for Avowed and Obsidian versus those open world of, okay, go create chaos and see what happens. Like, I'll never forget it. My brother played Wildlands, so Ghost Recon Wildlands. Jumps in with his friends. Dude, he was like an hour in. They beat the final boss. Like that. Game over. An hour in. Done. My brother, I said, what, dude, like, I'm having a blast in this game, right? Because I'm going through whatever. He goes, I already beat the boss. So what are you talking about? Yep, I went and beat the boss. Now I'm done. That's what they were preventing here, obviously, is some kind of chaotic reigns when it comes to that. So I think Avowed has set themselves up to be a huge hit for 2025 and Xbox.